Tiffany from the Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft Design Team, and I'm here to share a tutorial for Simon Says Stamp using the new textural accents. We have chalkboard paint, whipped spackle, and glass bead glitter gel. The chalkboard paint is in black. It's very opaque and very rich, and you can use it on any surface. This is the sample we'll be creating with the chalkboard paint. The whipped spackle is sort of in the middle of embossing paste or modeling paste. It has a more matte finish and it kind of dries up a little bit poofy. But again, you can use this on any surface, and you can also tint it with our products. And then the glass bead glitter gel dries clear. If you tint it, it'll dry with the color inside. It's just a glittery glitter medium, and it has tiny little glass beads inside. It's a really fun product to use around Christmas time, but for this card, it sort of screams spring. So those are our three samples, and those are our three textural accents. Let's begin. In addition to the three Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft textural accents, you'll also need the following supplies. I'll be using Lawn Fawn's Lawn Cuts, the Scripty Hello, and the Hearts, as well as the Hello Sunshine 6x6 inch petite paper pack. I'll only be using these rainbow stripes. You'll also need this is a palette knife, but you can use a foam brush or whatever tool that you have on hand. You'll need some adhesives. These are scrapbook adhesives by 3L. This is the My Stick adhesive. I have it in permanent and repositionable. If you don't have the repositionable housing, this also works with the red permanent housing. They're interchangeable. I have these Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft mediums. I have the Pit Pastels, the metallic Pit pens, and the gelatos. Then you'll just need a scrap piece of craft cardstock or whatever color cardstock. We'll be using the chalkboard paint on this, so we'll be covering it. And you'll need the Tim Holtz masking material. I already die cut mine. I'll show you how I did that in a little bit. So let's begin. I have a sheet of Tim Holtz masking material. You can also use a transparency sheet, clear cardstock, plastic. I like the Tim Holtz masking material. You'll need whatever embossing machine that you use. I use the Sizzix Vagabond. I also like the magnetic cutting platform. And I have two cutting plates. So you just put down your masking material. Sorry for the glare. Let me turn it that way. Then you take your dies. Again, I'm using Scripty Hello and Hearts. And you just position the dies how you want the mask to look. Of course, you need to take into account the size of your card. And then once that is done, you can either put some washi tape on top if you don't have the magnetic platform. You can just leave it as is and then put your second cutting plate through. You run that through your machine and you should end up with a mask that is similar to this. Super easy. So this is what we'll be using. I chose plastic because you can clean it off easily and reuse it. And you can just save your little negative pieces for future projects. First, we'll be using the chalkboard paint. This is very opaque, so a little goes a long way. And you can use it on all surfaces. I'm using this on craft cardstock, and I just have an envelope behind it so that I don't get my work surface messy and painted. So I'm just going to apply a thin layer. This dries very quickly, so just set that aside to dry and we'll come back to it in a bit. Once it's dry, all of our mediums work on the chalkboard paint. So the Pitt Pastel will give you the more traditional chalk look. You can even use the different colors. You can also use the metallic Pitt pen. This is gold, and it shows up very bright and opaque. We have other metallic Pitt pens in various colors. This teal was very popular at CHA. We even have a silver and a champagne, and this is purple. You can even use just our regular art grip colored pencils. So this is the white one, and it shows up. This is colored red. And you can use the metallic gelatos. So this is mint metallic. There's that. So if you want the more traditional chalkboard look, I highly recommend using the Pitt Pastels. And if you want lots of bling and shine and opaque color, use the metallic Pitt pens. So for our card front, we're going to be using the Pitt Pastels and the gold metallic Pitt pen. I'm going to use my repositionable adhesive to just adhere this down my card base. This is the one that we added chalkboard paint to. And I'm not going to use the repositionable adhesive on the back of this because it might chip away the chalkboard paint, so I'm just going to use washi tape to hold it down. And now you can add more of a chalkboard look by just coloring on the card front itself until you get your desired look. Using the whipped spackle, I am going to first get my stencil in position, and I'm using repositionable adhesive. And I'm going to create an ombre effect with my whipped spackle by dyeing it using this cotton candy gelato. And you can use any non-porous surface. I'm using a palette, but you can use parchment paper, meat packaging paper, plastic wrap, whatever, plastic plate, anything. So you just color some of your gelato down, and then using the whipped spackle, you just blend it in. Because the gelatos are completely water soluble, it'll mix into the whipped spackle very nicely. So now I'm going to take my palette knife and pick up the dark parts of my dyed whipped spackle, and starting from the bottom to the top, I'm going to spread this whipped spackle with the back of my palette knife. And now you carefully lift your stencil and there you go. So now you just take this to the wash sink and you wash it. This is our glass bead glitter gel. It dries clear and it's very sparkly, and it has these grainy little glass beads in it. So just like we did with the whipped spackle, I'm going to position the stencil first and then set it aside. And just like we did with the whipped spackle, just choose a gelato color of choice to tint it. I'm using watermelon. And again, I'm going in an ombre pattern. So using the palette knife, just scoop some out and blend. Now pick up the stencil, and there you go. Take this immediately to wash it in the wash sink. Set this aside to dry. So here are the cards all complete. I ended up decorating them with some lawn ornament adhesive flair as well as the mixed sequins in both Let's Polka and Hello Sunshine. This is the brand new stuff from Lawn Fawn. And you can see I mounted it to an A2 card base, and I just used a strip of that petite paper pack paper right there on the edge. And I just used small dots to adhere the sequins. That way you can't see any of the sticky adhesive through it. But there you go. Again, this was Tiffany for the Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft team, here to show you a tutorial using our new textural accents for Simon Says Stamp. Thanks for watching.